After all these years, Teflon Don still stands, even as he reportedly stashed a foreign government's nuclear secrets at his Mar-a-Lago club. That surreal, bonkers, terrifying sentence I just said is actually a real thing happening in real life. The Washington Post reported that a document the FBI seized at Trump's crib described a foreign government's military defenses, including its nuclear capabilities. And some of the seized documents detailed top secret U.S. operations so closely guarded that many senior national security officials are kept in the dark about them. The recklessness is astonishing. And yet, Trump claims it's all a hoax. His attorney even mocked the allegation the same day that this news came out. Trump's litany of excuses seem almost perverse at this point. That he declassified ultra-secret national security secrets on a foreign nation. Nuclear secrets. With just a wave of his Trumpy magic wand. Yeah, that is not a thing. That he was transferring them to his presidential library. Also a no. That the documents do not even belong to the United States government. Sounded like quite the child and the dictator. It's not theirs. It's mine, 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 mine. Trump has always been a serious threat to national security of the United States. A disaster, frankly. Doing things that no one else would or could get away with. Not even his friends. Teflon Don. When will accountability actually stick to him? Joining me now, Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal attorney and host of the Mea Culpa podcast, Mark Polymeropoulos, MSNBC national security analyst and former CIA officer, and Paul Butler, MSNBC legal analyst and a former federal prosecutor. And I'm going to start with you, Paul, because I'm sorry, but this was the subject of our 11 o'clock call. We do an 11 o'clock call in the show. We talk it out for like an hour. And this was my thing that I could not get away from. How in the hell is Donald Trump so impervious to justice? This guy has not paid taxes his whole adult life, except when he worked for the same company I do, when he was on The Apprentice. He's gotten away with tax fraud, insurance fraud, defrauding the American government, enriching himself off the presidency, and now stealing government documents, including nuclear secrets. He's untouchable. Why?
In this case, because of Judge Cannon. She admitted that she's treating this case differently because it involves a former president. But Joy, as you know, in our criminal legal system, no one is supposed to be above the law. And so when the judge starts giving Trump special consideration, she basically has to make up a whole new procedure just for former presidents. And that's pretty much what she did. First, the judge blesses Donald Trump with a special master to review documents that under the law don't even belong to him. And then the judge orders DOJ to stop parts of its criminal investigation that almost certainly exceeds her authority. It's just not a good look for the appearance of justice when a judge appointed by Donald Trump extends to Donald Trump benefits that no other subject of a search warrant would get, and that will almost certainly substantially delay the criminal investigation.
And that no one will ever get. Let me play a witness in the defense of what I just said. His name is Donald J. Trump. This is what Donald J. Trump said about the handling of classified documents and how that should be dealt with.
We can't have someone in the Oval Office who doesn't understand the meaning of the word confidential or classified. This was not just extreme carelessness with classified material, which is still totally disqualifying. This is calculated, deliberate, premeditated misconduct, followed by a cover-up.
Mark Polymeropoulos, these comments were about Hillary Clinton. He said the same about James Comey. He said the same about John Bolton. From a national security professional standpoint, from your standpoint, how is it possible that a man can steal national security secrets of the United States and of another country, maybe an ally, maybe an enemy, take them home, and not have any consequences whatsoever?
So, Joyce, I really think we have to leave it to the FBI, and I think that's why the appointment of the special master is a little troubling. This is going to delay the FBI's role in this. This is not like wine; it doesn't age well. Bad news does not get better over time. But I think the Washington Post reporting was really interesting. First and foremost, it's concerning because you have, of course, information potentially about either our adversary or an ally's nuclear program. You have things, information there about special access programs, which is really the kind of the crown jewels of the United States government. But here's why it's really important, because I think it really reinforces what the Department of Justice and the FBI did, which was to search Mar-a-Lago. And that is really, really significant when you have, large majorities of the American public still questioning this. I think we can put to bed the notion this is a storage problem. And we really have to let the FBI do its work. Remember, Bill Barr, former attorney general, came out over the weekend really in favor of this. And he was a CIA employee for the beginning of his career. He was an attorney in CIA. He knows a bit about classified information. I think Donald Trump's in trouble, and we really need the FBI to jump in and conduct the investigation and really in a timely manner.
Is he in trouble, though? Michael Cohen, the reason I want to talk to you today, because is he in trouble, really? Because this guy's been committing crimes basically for his entire adult life. His dad didn't pay taxes. He doesn't pay taxes. He defrauds the insurance companies of New York. He defrauds the taxpayers of New York. He defrauds the United States IRS. He literally appears to be a crime machine. And no one will stop him. No one can stop him. He could literally, at this point, I think he was right, he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue in New York City, in the middle of the street, and no one would touch him. He's unbloody touchable. Please explain. You know the guy. How?
Yeah, I'm not so sure I agree with that statement. Yes, he's gotten away with so much already, from obstruction of justice, witness tampering, tax fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, misrepresentations. He's gotten away with a litany of things. However, and this makes me scratch my head, the taking of classified documents, nuclear, top secret documents, should no longer be a Republican versus a Democratic issue. And I listen to all of the pundits on television, whether it's, this station, CNN, Fox, I listen to them all. This is an American issue, and I don't understand what we're doing. It's not a question of whether the law is being applied equally to all. It is not. For God's sakes, the DOJ, they're tiptoeing around Donald as if he was the king, right? The supreme leader or a monarch. And again, he is not. So like what you said before, if the adage that no one is above the law holds true, then Donald should have been indicted already and facing consequences. But I'll tell you what I do think is going to happen. I think that there's going to be an indictment, and relatively soon. I believe there will also be congressional hearings with Donald in the hot seat, where either he'll come in willingly, which I don't think he will, or via subpoena, where the real questions that they have to be asking right now is, where are the documents that were in these empty top secret files that were found at Mar-a-Lago? That's really the big question. And who did Donald give them to or show them to? Because like you've also said, and I've been saying it since day number one, Joy, Donald is a clear and present danger to the national security and safety of this country. And if this doesn't prove it, I'm not sure that anything will. So I agree with you, but I don't agree with you in the fact that he's not going to be held accountable for this. This is too big at this point in time.
Let me ask you this question, Michael, because we don't know. I don't know him personally, never met him. You know him. You've dealt with him for a very long time. Can you and I'm asking you to literally speculate, and I'm acknowledging that I'm asking you to do that. Why would he want to have the nuclear secrets of some country, ally, or enemy? Why would he want to have classified information? Why would he take the contents of classified folders out and put them God knows where? Why do you think that he wanted this stuff?
So this is all about power for Donald Trump. This is all about him still remaining relevant and exerting the power, whether it's going to be over the United States as extortion, that in the event you indict me or even members of my family, though he doesn't particularly care much about them, if you indict me and try to incarcerate, I have nuclear secrets that I have instructed some of my followers to turn over to our adversaries, right? That's what I believe. It's all about him maintaining power, but not just over this country, over foreign countries as well. And the dangerous part that we're all doing right now is creating these hypotheticals, right? Is the nuclear secrets Israel? And maybe he's given them to Mohammed bin Salman. And that's why they gave Jared Kushner $2.5 billion. You see, That's why we have the Presidential Records Act. That's why we have laws, so that we're not supposed to come up with these hypotheticals. We're supposed to know that these documents are in the possession of individuals who are supposed to have them in secured locations, not somewhere in his office at Mar-a-Lago where they have 1,000 members running around. You had Chinese individuals that were there in 2019 that weren't supposed to be there with thumb drives. It's not supposed to be happening. And everything Donald is doing is designed to disrupt.
Mark Palomaropoulos, you did this for a living. You were in this business. I'm not asking you to speculate about Donald Trump personally. You don't know him either. If this same situation were happening, and let's just say it was John Drumpf, it was not Donald Trump, what would be the thing that you would be the most concerned about an individual having these documents?
So, Joy, it's a great question because, there is certainly a double standard. There's an appearance of one. I think everyone recognizes that. Now, for a regular national security official, if you take these documents home, even inadvertently, you're in huge trouble. So the question is, why did he have them, number one, and, what was he going to do with them? And that motive is really important for the FBI to figure out. But let me just give you the day I walked out of the CIA when I retired. I had a small box. I had a couple, Persian rugs and some mementos from my time overseas, and that's all you take home. This is inconceivable what he had there, and in particular, if we were to believe the Washington Post reporting, these are really crown jewel type information that would probably land myself or any other senior executive in the national security establishment. Not only would we be fired, we'd probably go to jail for this, and so it's incredibly serious, and that's why I think that in my tribe. Those of us who really worked in national security for many years, we really need to see this through.
Very quickly before we go, Paul Butler, Reality Winner wanted to help. She was concerned about Russia's interference in the U.S. election. And so she made available some documents to The Intercept. She got locked up. Okay, she spent, I think, at least 5 years in prison for that. And she was trying to help the United States. She had no intention of harming us. She tried to help us. And Donald Trump is still free as a bird. If this judge had not interceded, wouldn't the next step be to search Bedminster, to search Trump Tower, to search every bloody property that this man owns to see if there's more? And can they do that now that this judge, who's Donald Trump's judge and obviously his ally, has said, stop the investigation?
They can. She said they can't use the information that was recovered in the search warrant for leads, but they can certainly continue the investigation and not just looking in his office. Remember, these documents were found in Trump's residence and even in a storage closet. So, Joy, that's shocking. It's scary, but it's also incriminating. DOJ typically doesn't prosecute cases that are only about retention of classified documents. The feds bring a case if there's some extra factor, like intentional mishandling or evidence of disloyalty to the United States or evidence of obstruction of justice. All of those factors should be of great concern to the former president.
I think the most important thing that was said here, and I think this panel, is that this is not a partisan issue. This is not an issue about Donald Trump being a Republican who bloody cares. This is an issue of our national security, and every single person watching this show, watching any network, should be concerned about it, it's not about Donald Trump. It's about our national security, and he ought to have at least give a damn about that if he's a American that cares about this country. Thank you, Michael Cohen. Thank you, Mark Palomaropoulos. Thank you, Paul Butler. Up next on The Readout, as the revelations about Trump's classified documents just get worse and worse and more terrifying, Republicans, with a tiny handful of exceptions, refuse to call him out. And later,